We back, y'all. Master of himself. This Doe, a master of himself. Teaching men how to become masters of themselves, leading by example. I hope you men taking care of yourself, protecting your seed. Today, this video is called The Journey to Becoming Unemotional as a Man. So for sure, we just gonna call it The Journey to Becoming Unemotional. So the first thing we're gonna start with is, what is a journey? The definition of a journey is an act of traveling from one place to another. So we all familiar with that. We all have been on journeys in our life. Many a journeys. We all travel from one place to another. So we familiar with the bumps in the road, We familiar when you're traveling that it's obstacles, And we also familiar with the unforeseen events that may happen. Flat tires, car may run out of gas, may not run right, whatever the situation may be. So we all familiar with those things. Bumps in the road, obstacles, and unforeseen events that may occur when we on a journey. Now, us men, those who follow this channel, as masters of ourselves, we must be able to identify on a unified level what the bumps, obstacles, and unforeseen events are. And when I say on a unified level, fellas, what I'm speaking on is mentally, spiritually, physically. Mentally, spiritually, and physically. So we must be able to identify these things on a unified level. What the unforeseen bumps and obstacles are. And then how to pragmatically eliminate those things. So what we have to do as men is to identify, then pragmatize, fellas. Say that again. We have to identify, then pragmatize. Because we are naturally problem solvers as men. So the real question is, what causes heightened emotions? Just to name a few: lack of rest, poor dieting, processed foods, lack of exercise, drugs, and everybody's favorite, alcohol. Hey, listen, y'all, when it comes to everybody's favorite, y'all, alcohol, studies show that when men drink alcohol, their T levels decrease and their estrogen levels increase. Wow. So let me say that again, fellas. When men drink alcohol, studies show that when men drink alcohol, their testosterone levels decrease and their estrogen levels increase. And what's so crazy is, fellas, it's the exact opposite for women. So when women drink alcohol, their testosterone levels increase and their estrogen levels decrease. It's crazy, right? So you wonder why every time you get to drinking, your girl get to acting all tough and masculine and all that. She get a little boost behind her because those T levels going up, and you either don't want to be bothered or don't want to argue because your estrogen levels don't went up, or you heightening the emotions and you ready to fight. You know what I mean? So like, you ready to argue back with her. You know what I mean? So alcohol is one thing that boosts the estrogen levels and heightens the emotions inside of us as men. So we got to be aware of that. Another thing we must do is we got to stick to our workout grind, man. It's going to keep us serene, man. It keep you in a serene state, man. You always going to be able to find some peace with working out. Because when you work out naturally, you naturally secrete dopamine. Naturally. From the hard work that's put in through working out, gives you that dopamine release. So Dopamine is the chemical that's responsible for making you happy. It's responsible for making you feel joy and the ability to feel good after completing a hard task, after you've done a hard job, after you've studied hard on a test and passed it, all that. This is the dopamine that's rewarding you after the hard work. So we got to be aware of that. Dopamine is something that's meant to be earned. And a lot of us are cheating it nowadays. A lot of us getting a lot of dopamine from watching porn, from watching short videos on Instagram, and watching Instagram models and stuff. We get all getting short dopamine releases from that. And these dopamine releases are cheats because they weren't earned. So, y'all remember, it's another thing, man, that we got to talk about too. Y'all remember that saying, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed? That's because he didn't give himself the proper amount of rest and rejuvenation time. This is another thing that's responsible for heightened emotions. Rest and rejuvenation time. You only can wake up on the wrong side of the bed if you don't give yourself enough time to rest. And that's just fact. So, some of us don't know, but your body functions on a circadian rhythm. And this circadian rhythm is synchronized with nature. So, in other words, what I'm saying is, when it's time for nature to wake up, you feel like waking up. And when it's time for nature to lay down, you feel like laying down. And the circadian rhythm is just a 12-hour shift. It's basically just the 2 12-hour shifts of daylight and night, of sunlight and night, sleep from rest and work. So we got to understand that. We got to keep that in mind also. And the last thing I want to talk about, just to throw this in too, is music, man. Music influences us also, heightened emotions. And we all know that. Y'all remember back in the day, they used to play a Lil Jon song in the club? Now listen, think about this. You combine this music, right? This Lil Jon music that causes heightened emotions with drugs and alcohol. Boy, with drugs and alcohol, boy, somebody liable to get hurt that night. And we all know what I'm talking about. We done all had events like that. We done all went to family members' houses where it was a lot of drinking and a lot of people with heightened emotions. And you was down for a real surprise that night. So we got to keep this in mind, fellas. And we always got to make sure that we stand on this grind, man. But this video just about this journey, man, that we on, man. We got to keep working out because that's what's going to keep us from being unemotional. Keep these processed foods away from us. It's going to keep us unemotional. And just stick to this grind, fellas. Get in your bed. Work on yourself. You a man first. Travel wisely.